welcome back. Gonna get started where we left off. And I believe we're supposed to talk to this portrait over here. Here we go. Oh, okay, that's a mini little side quest I forgot about. Alright, need to speak with Gareth Weasley sometime soon. Alright, let's see. Speak to the portrait of Eldrick Diggory. And he is former Minister of Magic and currently hanging in the Hufflepuff common room. And he looks like Professor Fig.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself. So few students know who I am these days. Eldridge Diggory, former Minister for Magic and founder of the Aura Recruitment Program at your service. I believe you can help solve a decades-old murder, thanks to that book you found, and, in particular, its missing pages.
How do you know about the book and the pages?
We portraits hear more than you might suspect, and
It's kind of like a
most of
giant
us
spy
do
network.
keep a secret. So, what say you? Surely a Hufflepuff such as yourself would be inclined to help seek long overdue justice.
I mean, think about that. If you could, like, just unite a bunch of these portraits, I mean, they probably have other, they have, like Dumbledore did with some of them. You could have, like, a freaking spy network around the entire castle.
I'll do whatever I can.
Wonderful. I am pleased to have been right about you. My great niece, Helen Thistlewood, can provide you with details. She's retired now, but was a skilled aura in her day, and the unsolved murder of which I speak was her case. I often visit my portrait in her home, in the nearby hamlet of Upper Hogsfield. Shall I tell her to expect you?
In my last playthrough, I think I pointed it out. If you go into a house, there's like several little pages you can read, and it's about an aura and her little regrets and stuff like that. And I mentioned that I thought I remember her being in the Hufflepuff playthrough, and that's probably her.
How could a few pages of a book help her solve an old case?
A boy disappeared with those pages, but they never found the body. A girl was convicted of his murder nonetheless. It seems those pages could exonerate her somehow. My great niece can tell you more.
Yeah, see, this is where more of the story of Richard Jackdaw comes out, because him and his girlfriend really fucked over this girl.
Can you tell me more about your great niece?
Cream of the crop when it comes to auras. A star pupil here, and then an exemplary servant to the ministry. And her spark hasn't diminished one bit in her retirement. She and I often chat about old cases and our glory days. No offense, but it's nice to get away from the students and converse with someone who's familiar with my legacy.
When were you the Minister for Magic?
Over 100 years ago. 1733 to 1747, to be precise. The stories I could tell you.
14 years.
Didn't have the chance to do all that I could. I was in the midst of reforming Azkaban when my life was cut short by dragon pox.
Oh,
I was sneezing sparks to the bitter end.
I shall go and see her right away.
Brilliant. With what I suspect is your knack for hard work and her keen mind, both mysteries may be solved sooner than you think. I shall see you there soon, I hope.
All right, so now we're gonna head off to Upper Hogsfield. Okay.
The fragrance is most invaluable.
Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's funny. Pay attention when you tip him. He first starts off with one instrument, but if you keep tipping him, I believe he ends up with more and more instruments throughout the time. Grab these pages. Level 16. thought over that way. Well, there's giant pumpkins.
Abandoned long ago, no doubt.
Revelio.
Okay, coming up on Upper Hogsfield. Get the flu network.
This must be the place Minister Diggory mentioned. Helen lives around here somewhere.
Fast
Shane
travel here.
Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood played a hand in his disappearance.
Oh, not very good. Okay. So here we are at Helen Thistlewoods.
Here you are. I'm pleased to see you took my advice.
Okay, let's see. It's been some time since we've heard from you. How are things in the ministry? We continue to think of you and hope that you're doing well. You'll be happy to know that we've all made our peace with your decision to become an Auror, as dangerous as it is. You must live your life and follow your path. You are doing so in the service of the wizarding world. I am proud to call you sister. I must inform you of something that you may find curious. It seems that a troll has taken up residence in the train tunnel near the town. The poor thing's certain to learn a tragic lesson about the fundamental velocity of locomotives. Right soon, Eddie. So, yeah, that troll's not going to have a good time. And I'm just going to read this first one. She's basically writing her memoirs or whatever. The Thistle and the Badge, Helen Thistlewood, Reflections of a Former Auror. Retirement isn't what I expected. I enjoy the leisure time, of course, but I do miss the excitement of hunting magical fugitives. I know you're not supposed to admit that you actually enjoy the turmoil associated with the job, but how can you feel anything other than exhilaration when chasing a Ukrainian iron belly through a Muggle city and then obliviating all of the Muggles who saw you, or foiling a dark wizard's plot to take over the ministry with an army of Chinese chomping cabbages, using only a single basket of bouncing bulbs? When the ministry finally makes all of my old cases public, my neighbors will never look at me the same way again. Old Madam Thistlewood down the lane is the one who put that nasty brute so-and-so in Azkaban? For now, I can merely insinuate. At least I divulge something confidential. I would hate to force my former colleagues into locking me away in Azkaban. Not an appealing thought. Well, I suppose I should check on my garden. The bluebells have been struggling this season. She's got, let's see, this part 2 of 3. Let's see. I've had a lot of time these days to reflect upon my career. I wonder if the good we did balances out the mistakes we made along the way. Did we always catch our criminals? No. Did we sometimes put away the wrong person? It's possible. Is it an acceptable risk when it comes to preserving the well-being of the wizarding world at large? I'd like to think so, but then again, I'm not an innocent witch moldering away in Azkaban. If I were, then perhaps I should feel differently. It is a quandary without a solution, or at least not one that I'm likely to solve. That is the problem with retirement. It leaves one with too much time to dwell upon bygone problems. But there's nothing one can do about it. Oh, my bluebells died. Part 3 of 3. I'm still dwelling upon my big hypothetical from the other day. I always made certain that I could defend my decisions before the Wizengamot. Should the need arise, I was required to do so. I was required to do this on rare occasions, and it was never a pleasant experience, no matter how confident I was. Despite what some believe, the ministry is far from omnipotent. And when I hung up my badge, I left quite a few unsolved cases. If I had all the time in the world, I doubt I could solve them all. But should the opportunity arise to revisit one and correct any mistakes I made, I will certainly take it. That's the only way to rest easy about my career. Never hesitate to fix mistakes, especially if they are yours to begin with. I fear that in our haste to mete out justice, we may inadvertently become the vehicle for injustice. I fear this especially for myself. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Oh, and I'm through with gardening. I need a new hobby. Alright, so that is Helen Thistlewood, former Or, and we're gonna see what's going on.
Madam Thistlewood, I met your great-uncle in his portrait in my common room. He sent me to speak to you.
I'm pleased you came. Uncle Eldridge believes the book you found and its missing pages may be relevant to an unsolved case from my time as an aura.
Very well. I'm listening.
Decades ago, a student named Richard Jackdaw disappeared after going to meet a girl named Anne. They never found his body. When his headless ghost appeared briefly in Hogsmeade, wholly unaware of how he died, Anne was convicted of his murder and sent to Azkaban. It was in large part due to the testimony of a girl called Apollonia Black. Jealous of Anne, I think.
That sounds terrible. But
No, she
I'm
was a
not
terrible
sure
person.
how I can help.
Anne's alibi was somewhat labyrinthine. She said Jackdaw promised her adventure following a map he found on some pages he'd stolen from Peeves.
And you think Peeves ripped those pages from the book I found in the restricted section?
If my great-uncle is to be believed, yes. At least that's what the portraits at Hogwarts suspect. Anne insisted that Jackdaw had asked her to follow the map with him, but only after she solved a series of puzzles he'd prepared. Odd way to woo a girl. She swears she never even solved the first puzzle, so they didn't meet. Jackdaw's ghost vanished almost as soon as he appeared. Without Jackdaw's puzzle, pages, or remains, Anne was sent to Azkaban based solely on Apollonia's spurious testimony.
I don't understand. What can I do to help?
I believe Anne may have solved the first puzzle by now, but after spending time in Azkaban, she's a shadow of her former self. She won't speak to anyone she doesn't trust, and she trusts no one. If you, a student with a connection to the pages, like Jackdaw had, spoke to Anne, she might reveal new information.
Well, yeah, this is a really neat quest, and I think that they were going to do a lot more of these throughout the game, but I think they may have run short on time. This quest right here, you have to play all 4 houses to get all 4 parts of this to figure out what happened. I'm not going to spoil it. If you want to look up the full story, go ahead. But you realize that Jackdaw and Apollonia Black were pretty terrible people. They really screwed this girl over.
What a horrible story. If you think I can help, I'll come with you.
This is wonderful news. You are to be commended for your kindness and bravery. Fortunately, being a retired aura has its benefits. We can apparate right to her. I've
right.
escorted ministers, professors, and many others to that
We're
blasted
going
place.
to Azkaban.
Never a student, I'll admit, but I will keep you safe.
Can you tell me more about Apollonia Black?
Wretched, vindictive girl, that one. Apollonia claimed that Anne threatened to kill the boy after he broke her heart. The Black family's power over certain people in the ministry, along with the fact that Anne is Muggle-born, sealed her fate.
I'd like to know more about Anne.
That poor soul never was the brightest girl, and that lack of wit proved to be her undoing.
I half suspect Jackdaw and Apollonia were merely toying with her. Who could have known he'd end up dead?
She's not held up well in Azkaban. In some ways, she blames me for not proving her innocence. I'd like to clear her name if we can.
You said Jackdaw's ghost appeared briefly, then vanished. Where do you think he went?
I have no idea. Evidently, he was always a bit restless, going on and on about adventure. If I had to guess, he tired of Scotland and is somewhere on the other side of the globe by now.
Very well. Let's go.
Steady yourself. We'll apparate together. Don't worry, I've never splinched anyone.
Do take care now, and tread lightly in that horrible place.
We'll be there in but a moment.
Here we are. Azkaban Prison.
Expecto Patronum!
Little rabbit patrol.
That ought to keep them at bay for now. Though, be aware, you may feel a wave of despair. It will pass.
Thank you for the warning.
This really is a dismal place. But we'll be out of here soon enough. Now follow me.
I do think that the movie.
This isn't a place for loitering.
I never thought I'd see the inside of Azkaban for myself.
Nasty Dementors. Not even I could convince the Ministry to send them off. There's no need for such monsters.
I think the movie Dementors look creepier. They still look creepy.
She's been here a lot longer than the rest of us.
Not a very pleasant place.
If I had my wand, I'd cast Crucio on the lot of you!
You don't scare me, young cur. They teach you so little of what you should know at Hogwarts.
Really?
That witch you're with has a dark cloud over her. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's there? Why torment me further?
No one at school's going to believe this.
Now remember, Anne has been here a long time. The Dementors aren't kind. Have patience and speak to her quietly and respectfully.
Are you Anne?
Who's there? Who speaks to me? Is that death finally come for me?
I'm a
She's
student
aged a lot.
from Hogwarts. I found the book that you said would exonerate you.
Ah, the book, the book. No one would look. None of the mages found the pages. Methinks the feckless knave meandered to his cave. My fate was surely sealed in Upper Hoggyfield.
Are you saying that the missing pages are in a cave? Near Upper Hogsfield?
Field, ruins house, a vault concealed.
A vault in some ruins near Upper Hogsfield. I suppose it can't hurt to look.
Can't hurt to look. Go find the pages from your book. Helen, know you're here. Come in closer, be a dear.
Doing insane causes you to speak in rhymes.
What is it, Anne?
Oh. That sucks.
You're hurt.
Oh, the cave. You're safe now. You have what you need. I'll be all right once I get...
But, Madam Thistlewood, All right. I'll find it. I'll find Jackdaw's cave.
All right. Now we gotta find Jackdaw's cave.
Shane Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood's played a hand in his disappearance.
Accio. Levioso. Accio. Revelio. Accio. This must be the place Anne told me about. No one's been here for ages. Incendio. Revelio.
Okay, so we pull the one.
Accio. You'll not outfox me, Jackdaw. Accio. You couldn't outwit me, Jackdaw. Now, where's the clue you left behind? Accio. Revelio.
My dearest Anne, well done. You've solved my puzzle. I knew you were a kindred spirit and the only one with whom I could truly share my adventures. Meet me at the edge of the Forbidden Forest as soon as you can, and I will show you the map that I mentioned. There is no telling where it will lead us. I found it on the pages that Peeves ripped from a secret book, and no one else seems to be able to find. I haven't any idea what lies ahead, but I'm glad to know I shall share my future with you. This is only the beginning. Richard, P.S. I am terribly glad you found this, as I would have gone on alone if you did not, and what fun would that be?
A note from Jackdaw. Anne never found it. So how did he die? Was she to blame at all?
Alright, so we found the pages, and now we just gotta leave the vault. We found a page.
I should investigate.
Hey.
Could it be? Has someone solved my puzzle after all these years? Well done indeed. Richard Jackdaw, at your service.
The Richard Jackdaw. I heard you disappeared years ago. You have some explaining to do.
I do? That was my puzzle you solved. What are you doing here?
A retired aura, Helen Thistlewood, told me about a map you stole from Peeves. And then Anne told me about a cave.
You saw Anne? Broke my heart. I had to go on without her. Probably best for her in the end. Dare I ask? How is she?
She was imprisoned in Azkaban for your murder. Why didn't you exonerate her?
What? Azkaban? Oh, poor Anne. I had no idea. I thought she'd written me off. I've been traveling the world for years to mend my broken heart. I came back here only recently. On a whim. I must speak to the Aura you mentioned and see how I can help Anne.
I'm glad to hear it. Before you go, would I still be able to find the pages with the map Helen mentioned?
I'm almost certain I dropped them in the cave the moment I was beheaded. They're bound to be mouldering away with the rest of me. Tell you what, meet me at the edge of the Forbidden Forest, and I'll show you precisely where to find them.
If you don't mind me asking, how did you lose your head?
I was having a look about when I suddenly sensed a refreshing breeze, after which I felt, well, lightheaded. That's all I remember. Hence, if you do find yourself in a cave, be prepared. I can't tell you what for specifically, but you seem a perceptive sort. Beware a light breeze.
Helen mentioned Apollonia Black. Did she set up Anne to take the fall?
Have you never met any members of the Black family? They can be rather vindictive. Once Anne showed an interest in me, Apollonia couldn't let it alone. That her own heart had grown cold simply didn't matter.
How is it possible to steal from Peeves? A poltergeist?
I didn't steal the pages from his ghostly form. I merely found them in his wake of destruction. He has a penchant for wrecking things. Books, bottles, suits of armor, whatever's likely to cause the most chaos. Found them on the floor outside the library where he discarded them. Not my luckiest find, all things considered.
Thank you. I need to find those pages to help a friend.
I shall see you there.
All right. So now we found the clues, and now we just have to meet Jackdaw. Forbidden Forest. And continue on with the rest of the... I haven't showed up in the thing yet. There we go. New quest. Jackdaw's Rest. The ghost of Richard Jackdaw is going to meet me at the edge of the Forbidden Forest. He said he'll show me how to get to the cave where he died. He's certain the missing pages are still there with his decapitated remains. So we're going to meet Richard Jackdaw at the Forbidden Forest for the next quest. Alright. I'll see you then.